Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. We are so excited to welcome today Aline Silva, who is the founder of Mempodera and the first medalist for Brazil in wrestling, winning silver at the World Cup and recently bronze at the 2021 Pan American Games. Watch Aline in action in Tokyo on Saturday, July 30th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and Monday, August 2nd at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be getting up super early to make sure I'm watching her in action absolutely on the 2nd. So very, very excited. And, today's episode is really special for us because this is truly our first VIP live experience. We've done a lot of these where we've really kind of invited large crowds. And this one is one that's special because Aline, the work that she's doing is just so spectacular that we really wanted to give an insider's look to some of our VIPs and extra special people that have helped her along her journey. So as people join in, I'm sure that we'll have additional questions and conversation, but we're going to work for this because today's episode is really all about Aline's journey and about representing the Mempodera Girls Program, a social impact program that empowers girls through sport and learning English in Brazil. This is something that Wise Wellness Guild is really dedicated to, which is empowering women through whole self wellness. And understanding and making sure that the work you do every day is in alignment with your values and your vision for your life. There's so many girls and so many women that have never been asked what they value, and they've never been asked to dream. And this is one area where, as Aline's mission is empowering more women to achieve their dreams and be warriors, we can fight against poverty, violence, and inequality. And so today, I'm so grateful to have you here today, Aline. It's amazing. It's truly an honor. You are just one of a kind, spectacular human, and cannot wait to dive in and learn more about your journey.
Oh, thank you so much for the introduction. I am so pleased and so honored to be here sharing a little bit of my life with you guys. And I wanted you to know that I admire your work and everything you are doing as much as you admire just told about mine.
Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, it's honestly I've been fangirling out a little bit today, trying to keep my chill. That's not my best feature on this, but I think that, one of the most powerful parts about this is we were introduced to each other, a long time ago. Gosh, it was back in before 2019. You were presenting to a group in Cincinnati, and my friend Vanessa, who is on the line here, brought me to an event. And I think that that's where I really started following you in your journey. And there's just so much that's happened between then and now. And I can't wait to dive in and for you to just share a little bit about all of the things that have happened, because truly, I knew that you were a powerhouse from hearing your first story, but as we dive in, I think that that's just the power of the collective. We can really make a big change, and it doesn't have to, take years and decades. It can really happen on the individual level. And I think that you're using your platform for something really incredible.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's dive in. Tell us about you. How did this even get started? What's the journey? What does life look like for Aline, when she's a young girl living, in Brazil?
Yeah, that's incredible for me to tell people, because sometimes I myself ask, like, did I really live that? That it is really my story, because I tell so many times, and sometimes just feels like, oh, it's so incredible that I'm not sure if I'm telling right. And then my family and friends come to me and say, I can't believe that you are going to Tokyo, or I can't believe that you're doing that, because I remember you in that situation. So then comes through my story for me. And then I believe everything I'm about to tell all you. So I was raised only by my mom, a Black single mom in Brazil. I think in all the words, not easy. In Brazil, it was especially very hard for my mom, because I was so my mom liked to say that I was always smart, too much smart. So when I was young, and she was working very hard, and sometimes during the night, because she is like she was working with in Brazil we call telemarketing, but it's like selling things through phones. So sometimes you work throughout all the nights, and then I, with 11 years old, I was taller as I am right now. Like I just grew up like a few inches, and I was already taller, and my body was already like formed as a woman. And then I thought, like, maybe I am as mature as people think I am because of my size, because I'm so grown up. And I was having a lot of friends that it was much, much older than me, and spending a lot of time
Oh no, Aline, I think we lost you. You froze. All right. Well, let me do. All right. There we go. Okay. Hey, Aline. I know we knew we might have some issues with the audio.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. Yeah, this is a good quick pivot. Love this.
Yeah. The problem is being in the hotel, we never know how the internet will be.
No worries.
Yeah, I really think that my phone will be better.
Yeah,
so
no, that's great.
What was the last word that you heard?
Yeah, so you were saying that because of your size, that you kind of thought maybe you should be treated like these older people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought I was mature, as my body said, and I start having a lot of oldest friends, and spend a lot of time on streets, because my mom was working so hard, she couldn't be there like watching out for me. And then we started trying a lot of cigarettes, drugs, a lot of alcohol, and I was just 11 years old.
Wow.
My grandma, that was the one who was supposed to take care of us, she had a depression, a very severe depression. So she stood all her days like watching TV. Sometimes she even ate or took a shower if we didn't bring her to there or took care of her.
Wow.
Actually. And
did you realize that at the time that she maybe had some mental health issues, or was that maybe something that wasn't really discussed because she was older?
No, we knew she
Okay.
always took medication.
Okay.
Actually, in my family, we have a history. So my aunt, she took her own life with depressions too. So for me, it's not something that I think. I think it's something psychologically. I think I'm sure that is a disease, and I have handled with my families and myself a lot of times. So yeah, sports sometimes brings us to this place, and it's very important to keep our mind healthier. Absolutely. As much as we can. Yeah. So in that time that I was spending so much time in the streets, I was using all my abilities, because I was so smart, as my mom always said, to spend time on the streets. And I know what time my mom would get home, and I would come back like 30 minutes before, took a quick shower, get in the bed, and pretend that nothing happened. Wow. But one time everything went wrong. I don't remember everything that happened, because at some point of this night I just blacked out. But I remember waking up in the hospital. Wow. And I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. If my mom, of course, would be very angry at me, but actually she was so worried that I would die that she just, hugged me. And it was very hard, because when I got home, I remember my family crying. They thought that I would die. They thought I would die. Like my sibling, I have them as my siblings, but they are actually cousins raised with me. Yeah. And I remember when I got home, they like crying and yelling. like Aline cannot die, not she, you know, something like that. I just remember just some flashes because I stood like a week very bad. And all the family came along to, you know, give all the advices and tell that my mom wasn't raising me very well, that I was already lost, I would get pregnant soon, I was already addicted to drugs and things like that, you know. And I know that for my mom it was a big thing, like every single detail was telling us that she was failing at me and as a mom, and for a lot of us in the society, fail as a mom, it means like fail as a person, because a lot of people just get women's and like if you are a good mom you are a very good person, like. And then I remember when my mom was telling my relative the story, she said, and I know that this detail hurted her very much, because the doctor, when she arrived at the hospital, he just said, "Where were you that your child with only 11 years old is in this situation?" At no time, nobody asked about my father. My father that lived us when I wasn't even 1 years old of age, and he already was with another family, raising another kids, another children's. So from my mom, I am the only child, but my father has four with two other wives. So at no point of this trouble, poverty that I had, nobody asked what my father was doing, that he wasn't helping us. After that, my mom just figured out that in the public school that I was studying, I wasn't going to school either, because I was just pretending to go to school and spending more times on streets. And then public schools here in Brazil, it's very hard. Like you would expect the schools just to call the parents and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
your child is not coming. What is happening?" But I don't know. They have like maybe too much kids, too much work. They don't do that. So when my mom figured out that, and she was even like having a clue that was happening with me, because she was so busy working so hard, she just changed me off school. And the new school had a lot of activities after classes. So we had dance, we have footballs, here in Brazil was like a class to learn how to handle technology, informatics we call. And we had judo. The only fight that we had was judo. I always loved play with my cousins as we were fighting. So for me, it was that one. I wanted judo because it was the only fight that I could do. My mom actually didn't like. Not my mom, my aunts, nobody in my family and my friends liked, because they told me that it wasn't a sport for a girl. It was something for a boy to do. I would be like a male in a few months. I shouldn't do that. My mom wanted me to do the dance classes. I said, no way, because I have nothing to do with dance classes. So I was very stubborn at that time. Even my mom didn't wanna, she didn't like. I was like, I will go, I will do that. You can control me. And then once I started doing judo, and they realized that something was changing me.
Yeah.
Nobody said, like my mom stopped like arguing about that. And like a few years later, like 3 years later, when everything was already changed in my behavior and the Aline that they knew. And I was thinking about quitting judo because it was hard to pay for my training. I could do better. And everybody said, no way, you can't stop. You won't.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that that's so powerful. I wanted to show a picture here of just like, this incredible woman that, raised you and really brought you into who you are, but also acknowledged that you needed a change, right? And that it's something, and that's where we always say that like it takes a village. I mean, I'm a mother of a 5-year-old who is one of the most stubborn, ridiculous humans on this earth, and I am stubborn and ridiculous, right? but I think that just I have such a passion for understanding, you know, how being somebody who's trying to, whether you're a mentor or a parent or a guide, that's truly all that it is just, you know, it's truly about mentorship. Like you cannot force children to do anything. And I think that that's where, you know, just really honestly being in a position where she lifted you out, kind of helped you kind of get in this space. I'd love to talk a little bit more and just dive into that about what that was like to step into a very non-traditional female sport, because my background, I think I shared this with you, that I was a part of the building of the Like a Girl campaign for Always. And there's so much in that as I traditionally grew up, you know, I had a choice at one point to play soccer, and I was very good at volleyball, very good at softball, or I could do dance. And I think about this sometimes about I was very good at both, but they did make me choose because of the way that my school is structured. Dance was a 4-season activity, and all of the others, you know, you couldn't overlap because they competed on times. And so I chose dance. And I think a lot of times I realized that maybe I chose that to be more consumable, right? To make the choice to maybe be more accepted by people in my community, by, you know, I'm already a very tall woman. I'm 5'10", you know, I have broad shoulders. I, you know, I'm of a certain stature. And so I wanted to be perceived a certain way. So I just want to talk about that choice a little bit for you. I mean, what drew you to judo, and why'd you step into that?
Well, for me, I think it was all about my feelings.
Yeah.
I was like raising myself kindly. Like my mom was providing everything that I need to survive. She was a warrior for me, but I was raising myself. I was like spending a lot of times on the streets, and I could see my cousins having their mom and father around and being loved, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be loved. I wanted people to notice me, you know? So I was doing that on the streets when I could. Like, it was something that I could make people paying attention on me. And even they said, you can't do that. I was doing because with that, they would talk about me. They would worry about me, you know?
Yeah.
And then when they said, you can't do judo, it was something very alike of being on the streets. I couldn't do. And I knew that they would pay attention on me again, and I would be the stubborn. I would show that, okay, nobody cares about me, so I would do whatever I want, you know? I think it was something about that. And I always tell people that I'm not an amazing person. An opportunity to bring me where I am right now. So the same energy that I was using to be on the streets, to treat like my grandmother, to be on time at home, to my mom not realize that I was on the streets, the same abilities that I was using in the streets, I start to use them on judo. So I think it's all about my feelings. I just wanted to be noticing, you know?
Yeah, no, I love your honesty and candor in that but I do want to push you on something, just food for thought is, you know, I do think that you said you aren't amazing, and I'll just like hold on a second, because the work ethic and the drive that is required to get to a position where you can even learn the sport and activate against the sport, even at a non-competitive level, is incredibly challenging. I mean, truly, like, it is a very difficult, challenging sport. And so I do want to, before, as we kind of dive in, can you just share a little bit of the fundamentals of judo? Like, just give somebody who might not know a lot about the sport, what is it, and how would you kind of like characterize it in a way?
Okay. So one of the things that I most love about judo and all the fights like wrestling, that you have to take down your opponent, it's the first thing that you have to learn. It's how to get up after you take down, or how to be taken down, so you can get hurt. So I think it's about life too. You need to know how to stand up, you know, every time, because sports is all about losing and sometimes winning. And in all the wrestlers, like all the wrestling sports, like judo and wrestling, it's so much more about your psychology, state of mind than
Sure.
your strength, your abilities, because it's like, who will give up first? Who will give up first doing your best strength? Who will give up first defending some approach? Who will, stay focused until the fight is ended? So it was all about stubborn too in the sports, because you need to really believe that you can do that until the final. You need to be able to forget your pain, forget that you're tired, and just keep going. So
Yeah.
judo and wrestling are very similar about that, because it's not enough to do your best. And sometimes you go to the tournament prepared to do your best, and your opponent is so good that you have to drive you further. Do your best won't be enough to get a
Whew.
medal, so you can't just do your best. So
That
when
hits
you are
me. Yeah.
competing just against you
Yeah.
go there, do your best, you know how it is. When you have an opponent, sometimes you have to go further. You just need to be stubborn and forget all your tired,
Yeah.
your breath.
I
Yeah.
that hits me so hard, being an entrepreneur in a pandemic, coming out of the corporate world, and I don't have even a 16th of the barriers in my life, right? That I think by just juxtaposition, but I think that in general you're absolutely right that it's not enough to just be the best. It's about really understanding what is driving you and being so clear about that. And so you stepped into this space where you said, I'm going to choose this. This is me. This is what I'm doing. And this is what you chose to do. And so tell me a little bit about what life started to look like, the change that started to happen in you, and what other things started to fall into place.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I never thought that I could use judo or something that I was so loved about as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about getting a plane or airplane to travel, like for other city to Brazil or around the world. And the first tournament that I traveled abroad, Brazil, it was New York, actually. We wrestled at Madison Square Garden in 2003 in a world championship that I had there.
Wow.
I was just living in a dream. I couldn't believe that I was there. It was already in wrestling that time. And in this first tournament, I just remember New York, how amazing it was to be outside Brazil, how amazing it was, all the experience. But the tournament, I was beat up very badly because I don't remember any of my wrestling matches. It was really like I was just dreaming. I think I was so amazed by everything. And I remember that this first tournament, I traveled with no money in my pocket. I didn't have nothing, like $1 I didn't have. And but it was so good because it was a dream. And then when I come back, I think the federation in Brazil saw something on me. They keep like sending me for some tournaments. And in 2006, I participated in the World Championship for juniors, that is until 20 years old. And then at that time, it was my first World Championship in my age, like in junior. Everybody in Brazil believed that it was almost impossible to win fights abroad because all the world was doing wrestling for so long and we were just starting that we couldn't compete. But I am a very competitive person. I don't like to lose even in games that we are playing with our families. So I think I just forget that. And then when I saw I was in the final, I couldn't believe. Everybody was just like so amazed because we were in the history of wrestling in Brazil. And I think I even went to wrestle in the final because we were so happy already. And that was a learning for me, a lesson, because I was just like already so happy to be in the final that I didn't focus enough to wrestle the final for the gold. But yeah, okay.
I think that you
But I
surprised you, but you surprised yourself, right? And that's kind of getting back to what I was saying before, is like, I think that it's okay to dream. Like, people kind of put us in this situation of like almost these false ceilings of it's okay to dream, but like not enough to win, right? Like, go ahead and dream your dreams. And we put those limitations on ourselves. And that's the part where you're kind of, you almost have this, oh my gosh moment where you're like, wait, I did more than I thought I could even do. And I love that, because I think that that was probably a moment for you that just blew it wide open to say, if I could do this, what else is possible? And that moment just took,
you talking, I think when I went to that tournament, I was already in my ceiling, I was a girl that was like a few years back on the streets doing a lot of bad things. And then I was just representing Brazil in world tournaments. So I was already in the ceiling that people would expect of me. But after I won this medal, not just, I believe that all my dreams about like becoming an Olympic athlete and everything would become true. And I started to believe that it was possible for me to dream more. And that's scary. It's very scary, because when you don't think that people expect much from you, when you don't think that you have to be better, it's okay. You don't have a pressure. So you just do your best, you just live your life. After that point, it was very scary, because all my family and friends was, wow, you did it. How you did it. And so at the beginning, I was wrestling to people to pay attention on me, to prove my value, to prove to my father that he would regret to abandon me, my mom, to prove people that my mom was doing her best to raise me. And then out of suddenly I was there. I had some troubles to learn and figure out how to set up my mind to compete again, because prove people that I was something wasn't anymore something, because people already believed me. So it was hard to shift to this mind and start competing in the very good place. And then I start developing my purpose, because the angry was already still here. The angry, all the careless like feelings, all the things that I have been through, it was still here. All the things that people said about me and my mom. So I could just stop there.
Yeah, I think that that's like, there's so many powerful pieces in what you just said of, when you achieve more than you think is possible, now there's these expectations. And where there weren't expectations, it's okay to like talk a big game and fail because people expected you to. But now you're talking a big game and you're achieving, people are excited. Wow, that's a new feeling, right? It's a new feeling to feel love for the right reasons, to be getting attention for the right reasons, to feel this momentum of, wow, I can be somebody that people look up to. And so I love that you've taken all of that and kind of say, I'm not the only person that's probably felt this way in my life, and that there's this bigger purpose that's in me. And how do I kind of pull that together? And I want to make sure that we, as we step into what that purpose is, I mean, I think that like in those moments when you acknowledge that you had more in you about making this a bigger platform, tell me about the infancy of that. Like, where do you remember where you were when you said, this is what I want to start to chip away at? Do you remember like the period in time where you were, anything like that?
Well, I think it was right after I came back from this tournament, and they did the first interviews about me, and friends and people start seeing and just cheering for me. And, it was the kind of attention that I wasn't expecting in my life. And to see my mom so proud, so happy. If I was happy, my mom was just like, I am not a failed mom, and
Wow.
that for me it was something that brought me some peace, because I never saw my mom having friends, having boyfriends, doing the nails, like instead, taking care of her. And my mom is just very pretty. She's beautiful, but she was always working.
Yeah.
And then at this time on my tournaments, she was already with me when I needed to not let me given up of wrestling. And she was already like, I think that moment she was with me because she saw the behavior changer that wrestling did in my life. It wasn't something about professional already,
Yeah.
still. So I think at that point she was just uh, being supported to me to not let it go, this thing that changed me so much, and bring some peace to her so she could work and I was being taken care. But
Yeah.
after that, I think she realized, okay, I did a good job, and was something like it was our moment.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think that that's the part I told you before, like as a mom, it just gets me because it's something that you just, you hope that the end goal, right, of wherever that you can help guide and support, but it really is, like I said, that mentorship space. And I think creating the opportunity, I love that you have acknowledged that there might be an opportunity for girls in this space. And I want to make sure that we talk about your girls program and a little bit about how that's going and how you started it. And then, making sure that the piece that I am kind of obsessed about with your story that makes me feel like a huge slacker is that you have not known how to speak English for very long. And that is such a wow for me that you're providing this platform that brings sport and learning English to girls in Brazil in such a powerful way, to know that it's not just about sport, but it's about setting them up for success beyond sport and in life. That is so powerful. So tell me just a little bit about Mempodera. Great.
Okay, so it's something about what I said, that I had to find something to keep wrestling after I get my first medal. So for me, it was something about like I had to find a purpose. So all the angry and was here, and I had to do something with that. So when I look back to my story, I still feel sad about. If I could choose, I wouldn't be on the streets. I wouldn't give all the pain for my mom and all that I went through. But I did. So now what I will do with all of that, I believe so much in the power of the education. And for me, sports is education, educate you for life. So I was in, now what? I could do that for other girls, because if I, Aline, was only trying volleyball and dancing, I could never have found myself a good wrestler, and I would not be here talking with you. Now I am going to my second Olympic Games. I have 2 gold medals that still today nobody in Brazil has. Nobody. The first one was in 2006, 15 years ago. I have went to like 34 countries or more, I'm not sure, and learned English only to participate in the main in the global the S&P Global Sports Mentoring Program, because I wanted to figure out how to put together all my story and bring this to happen in other people's life, because I believe in people.
Yeah.
I was a kid, a girl that was lost, using my best abilities to stay on the streets and doing wrong things. And I know for experience that I didn't change the person that I am. I just changed the opportunity that I am using my person, my best person in. And so now when I look back, it's almost unbelievable. It's almost disconnected from that girl. I only connected myself to that girl when I'm talking with my girls from my program in Mempodera.
Yeah.
And I can tell them, I know what you're going through. I have been there. I know,
Yeah.
And so when I started Mempodera, I thought that I was bringing all the things that helped me to be where I am now and use it for people. So wrestling helped me. English helped me so much because now not just I am a GSMP alumni that I have like amazing mentors because I have like Julie Enderman that is here, friends around the world that it's just unbelievable. Like Vanessa came to Brazil to know my girls and my program, you know, and my girls, all the girls, the students that talked with her, they talked with everybody about the American woman that they know, you know? So
Yeah.
that's something so that means so much for them because now not just me, knowing that the roads have the doors open for me and there's no barriers. I can be wherever I want, doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
But my kids know that. So, you know, and English here in Brazil is not something that everybody can do.
Yeah.
Less than 10% of the people in Brazil talk another language. And this can raise your salary exponentially if you speak English, you know. So it was when I realized that I had to do with something with my story if I wanted to stop the pain. And the tricky things is when I started Mempodera, I thought that I was doing something good for others, but actually it is for me.
Mhm.
They helped me through some so hard times. Like this last cycle to Tokyo for me, it was another challenge in my life because I had the thrombosis after I participated in GSMP program. After the thrombosis, I had a knee surgery that it was really hard. I got a divorce, and you know what? Most helped me to keep going. And the sadly days of my life, I was just hug out of suddenly of some kid thing saying to me, thank you, coach or teacher, because we asked them to call us that. Like, thank you. You have changed my life already. They don't know about that, but they are feeling like they can do that. They can change their life. They are starting that. And that's for me, it's everything, you know?
I think that that's so powerful though, that you understand that it's the best type of work when you really are in your flow and you're in your where you're going is really about doing what is in fulfillment for you so you can fill yourself up and overflow into other people and give. And when you can align the work that you're doing with the vision you have for your life, it really kind of becomes divine in a way, I think, of how we step into our purpose. And you look back at that, I think it's crucial to understand that you are the same person that you were at 11 years old, right? Like you are still there, and that's like, it's okay. It's just you're making different choices, and what you're doing with that power and all of that brain smarts and you're channeling it towards something that's really meaningful. And I think that that's the lesson that we have, is there's no shame in how we grow up, and we shouldn't feel guilty. We shouldn't feel like our circumstances define us. But I think that for these girls, it's creating another outlet for them to express themselves, to understand how to build relationships. I know that you and I had chatted a little bit about that there is a larger question happening with female empowerment around the role of male allies and how they step in. And I would love to have this conversation, because I think it's one that with Wise we have all the time of, there is a certain psychological security with women and creating a space that we can share and be vulnerable, especially with the girls that you have, right? They're going through body changes, they're, exploring different things. And I think having that, but I do think that there is a role for men and women to play in this space of breaking down barriers, setting better boundaries and expectations for women, and understanding a little bit more about how do we better relate and understand and empathize, I think, with the expectations. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit about, the journey you've been on with that, because I know that you opened up the program, and now it's like we're really focusing on girls, because that's really important.
Yeah. So when I was participating on GSMP, it was amazing how we connected with our sisters. And I wanted to bring that back to Brazil, but it was so different working with teenagers. And so we started, I think, with a few points that it's very important. First, it's psychological safety. They need to feel safe, to be vulnerable, to try the movements and do it wrong, and about their bodies. So we close the class to not allow anybody to be around, just looking them training. They don't like that. And it's important to have the space for the girls. If we came to the school saying, oh, we have wrestling classes now, I'm sure that 90% of the people that would subscribe would be boys. So we needed to send a message. So this classes is for you, girl. Wrestling is for you. We are here for you. That was important, so they knew that space, that sport, it is things of girls to do too. And that worked so well that in the first year we had like about 80 girls doing wrestling.
Oh gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we started to realize that a lot of things that society brings to us since we are born, you was like trying, almost like disturbing the classes. So one of the things is morality. So did I say it wrong? Right? Morality?
Right. Yeah, morality. Yep.
Okay. So my story helped me so much there, because we as human, we are so sad, and we believe that we need to be pure, we need to be perfect. And I sometimes felt wrong about my body, about myself, because of my story, because I know that I'm not pure, I'm not perfect. And this makes some people to point fingers at others too. It's kind of a defense. So the first thing we need to get then is to understand, and my story helped me in this conversation, to understand that judgment won't help us as a team, as a family. So we need to stop pointing fingers and trying to be in their shoes, and we need to help each other. We need to be there for each other, because the girls were arguing about boys, and one boy that was with three of them, they were wrong, but the boy was right. Things like that we hear, but we don't believe that is still happening. Is still happening in some communities. And the mothers of them saying, oh, you can't stay with a boy because people will talk about you. This is very present, it's very real in the community where I work. They really think that girls have some things about periods. We have a lot of taboos, a lot of things that they still believe. So the first thing was stop, make them think about judgment, make them thinking about gender and why people think that girls should be like that or like this. And so we created a class we call life skills, because it was beyond empowerment in the sense of bringing the gender subject to the team, but we start talking about drugs with them, about sexism, about racism. And I thought that really empowered the class, because now they were like growing up together. They was like more attached to each other. And I think it's important first to make them understand why a program with girls is so important. In Brazil, for example, we had a law that for 40 years forbid women to practice sports considered for male, like wrestling, judo, or soccer. This law just ended in 1979. It's not too long ago. Yeah. And a lot of people in Brazil don't know that.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild to think about. That it's really a fairly new even opportunity to have
another
this
law
outlet.
That's absurd. That is not about sports, but in Brazil it's very recent. In 2015, ended a law that a male that assaulted a woman could not go to jail if he married her.
Oh my gosh. See, this is like the Stone Ages, like things that
people think that sexism is something that feminists think that exists, but actually it's very, very present in our society.
Right.
And we need to fight against it. This
Yeah.
month on July, our coaches from Mempodera program,
Uh,
they school are on vacation, so the kids are not doing the program. So we set up a camp, a wrestling camp with
uh,
the national girls from junior, the
oh
age
yeah.
until 20. And it's only girls practicing, only girls as coaches, only girls doing, only women doing the lectures. And a lot of people around like the organization are just, why that? We don't like this idea. They need to bring men again together to the conversation. To the conversation, yes, we need all women and men, but we need to set up programs that it's focused especially in women and girls.
Yeah.
And so like this month is happening, this training. It will start next week. And we are facing a lot of problem. Like our two coaches from Mempodera are ahead of this tournament. And now as I am as manager of the National Federation, I has the power to make, like to do this training to this to happen. But a lot of people don't understand yet and they don't
Yeah.
like.
Well, I think that that's the part of that's the life's work, right? Of how do we create this foundation of in a principled behavior of what to kind of come and expect from your organization. And I know that you're doing so much incredible work when it comes to, like you said, talking about ending, stigmas around periods, and how do you talk about menstruation in a way that's not filled with taboo and shame. And I love the message there in particular about owning your body and like the morality that around that comes with like not do's and don'ts, but really feeling like you have ownership and agency over what you do and how you own and embrace the body that you've been given, and how are you going to use that for good, and how do you step into the best version of yourself with that. There's just so many things packed into this that I think girls, when they're young, they just really, this is the time to change the narrative that even here in America that we feel, but in particular, I think that young women in your community, the barriers that they're facing, I'm discerning that this might be even a bigger challenge. And so
Yeah.
the call to action for me, for anybody who is listening or watching this, is that we absolutely want to help Aline here and support her on her, her journey. And we've called this Mempodera Road to Tokyo because it's not just about the Olympics. It's about the journey and the road that she and so many girls have been on in the pursuit of their dreams. And the dream isn't about that piece of metal around your neck, right? The dream is being able to do more, be more, achieve more than you've even ever imagined, and continuing to bust each level beyond what is even the possibility of what people think your gender can do. And I love that. You're so like, I'm so fired up right now. I'm like, this is amazing. And I think that there's a couple of ways that we can step into this. There's absolutely, and when we post this, you can donate directly. Would absolutely encourage anybody who's interested in learning more. We'll make sure that we put the website on the link to this, so that way you can step into this. I think that what I'm really excited about and how Wise is getting involved is we are actually selling t-shirts on behalf of your organization. I'm wearing one right now. So we've got them here. I'll hold it up. And this is something that I am really excited about, because as we're looking to support you and your message, I think that, there's nothing like having a team behind you that we can do this on an international level. And your story is so powerful. It transcends country borders. But I think that the future and vision of what you're doing is also something that I hope will inspire people from around the world to understand that maybe in their own cultures, there's some barriers in place for women that have been put in by false pretenses of what it is that we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do. And I want people who are listening this to understand that you and your circumstances don't define you. It's what you do with the skills that you've been instilled with, and it's never too late to change your narrative and really look to where you want to go with your life. And so I'm so grateful for you being here today. This has just been so powerful. Is there anything else that you want to share before we kind of open it up for Q&A and have a broader discussion?
No, I'm just very, very happy to be here. And I was very emotional today because it's not easy to be in touch with our story. And I think just about what you said, I think everybody just needs to pay attention not what they had accomplished, but what they are in essence as people and what this essence can achieve and where,
Yeah, I think the more that it's this pendulum that I feel of taking care of yourself and making sure that you feel like you are strong enough. I mean, the world has been through a collective trauma of this pandemic and what it has done to, in particular, set girls and women back in a significant way. What I would also say therein lies opportunity is, and I accept this challenge, that by setting back means just a different road. And that road maybe looked like, is it trudging down a road that was already difficult and hard and we just went backwards? Or is it building a helicopter and getting the hell out of here in the first place, right? And building our own island. And
sometimes all the setbacks, it's just part of our story. It's just part of
our story,
right?
Yeah, we're on this. So many people get on this track that they're sleepwalking. They don't even know that they're on it. And I think that this is the part that, you really have to pay attention to what it is that you're on here on this earth to do. You could do a million things, but how do you also look left and right and say, how are we going to hold hands and do this together? And we through WISE talk a lot about lift while you climb. And it's, for me, it's not just a saying, it really is a sense of our culture and responsibility. And I think that you have to really invest in yourself though first in order to be able to do that. And you can do both at the same time too. It doesn't have to be sequential. So I get very, very excited about this and the work that you're doing, and just am really grateful for you. As I'd mentioned, there were a few people that I just wanted to give a special shout out to and thank on behalf of WISE and also Aline. We know that GSMP, so that's Global Sports Mentoring Program, an initiative by the U.S. Department of State and P&G Brazil, just an incredible organization. I highly recommend you go and check it out. That is how I think all of this has kind of come forward for me in my life, is by my periphery with P&G and my former employer. But I think that, there are a lot of other organizations out there that I think start to acknowledge and recognize that this looks like a really incredible place for us to invest, because it's not just about one individual. It's about a collective movement to help to support the forward momentum of women that, there's so much power in this. So I think it's fantastic. And make sure that you, like I said, you check out Aline in the Tokyo Games on Saturday, July 30th at 10 p.m. We'll be having a watch party. Make sure you get your t-shirt. It's on shop.wisewellnessfield.com. We said it's about 18 days away for you, right? Something like that you'll be on. So just incredible. And thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We'll open it up for questions if anybody has any, or anybody wants to say anything. Oh, Vanessa, you're on mute.
My audio.
There you go. Yay!
I have a
You did. I feel so fortunate to have met you. I know Di is also on the phone, and she was one of the people that introduced me 2 years ago. And we've gotten to know each other since then. But I'm always so re-inspired when I hear your story. And I think every time I hear it, I get more details, and I'm even that much more impressed. And especially how you're able to share it so that it impacts all of us as an inspiration. I was very lucky to go and visit you in Brazil. And there was a couple of moments, and I was thinking, comment wise, is that your attitude and mindset, you never take no for an answer. And it's not only in your big story, but I was very fortunate to see her in very micro moments. We were trying to do this thing in Brazil, and I was trying to do this thing with the light to do an art thing, and the electricity didn't work. We had to splice together 2 electric components, and I was like, oh boy, electricity, that's not my thing. But Aline MacGyver, she got some scissors and sliced that thing, and she the wires, and we plug it in, and we have light. So I was like blown away at how she's such a rapid problem solver. I just don't even know if you realize anymore about how in your moments. There was another time you were driving on a highway in an older car, and it breaks down in the highway, and she's like, well, this is what we're doing now. We're hoofing it, right? And we get to where we are on time. It was no other thought. There was nothing about the car. Cars bring so many people anxiety, and the car was just, I'll call someone later to deal with it. And that was literally the end of the mindset she gave it, you know? So I just want to say that you're such an inspiration to how we can have our own moments in life, you know? And so I wanted to say that magic you give off in your big moments and also in your micro moments. So I'm very excited.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And we are expecting you here back. It was amazing, the clinic that you did with the kids, teaching them how to design things. They never forget that. It was the most amazing experience that they had. Thank you so much.
Magic. I invited Stevie to come with me in December. I said it's complete magic. Their joy. And I think that there are, you know, bridging bridges with places where cultures can experience one another. Like it's 12 hours south for us and 12 hours north for them, and means might be difficult. But if you actually try and make it happen, you know, the magic is just insurmountable. I think those girls touched me, and I think of them often, which is why I'm continually, I know, we live in 2 countries away, but when we have moments and find ways to be able to help them, you know, or kind of be a partnership with them, or kind of being connected together again, I want to take every moment we can, because I can see how you learn as much from them as they do from us.
Yeah, and
hi. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in, and I totally agree with Vanessa, and I can't wait to have that moment where I can meet the girls as well. Julie and I are so looking forward to that, and I just want you to know that is on our list, on our radar. We definitely want to make that happen. And we also just so believe in you. And I want to make sure that, you know, going into Tokyo, that you know that we've got, and Stevie, thank you for doing this, because we've got everything here. You just go do you and be magnificent. And you know, we had originally planned, Julie and I and a couple of your GSMP sisters had planned to be there in Tokyo, and everything happened. But just like you did with the car and with the electricity, we're just going to, you know, shift our means of support for you in different ways. So I will be sharing you know, the link to the t-shirts. We will be doing everything we can here to help spread the word about Mempodera, and you know, look forward to seeing you when you get back, and you know, just continuing the journey. Because the one thing that I will say is that I was in the room and could see the wheels turning in Aline's mind as she gave birth to Mempodera. And it is just, it still gives me chills, because you literally wrote your story, this part of your story, in such a short amount of time. It is magic. And to see you just make it happen for those young girls and women. I mean, not just the young girls that you're touching, but all the coaches and your mom and everyone in the community that is touched by it. It's a wonderful thing. So I just wanted to add that. We love you.
Thank you, Diane. I don't know if you remember, but you were the one that helped me with the name.
Yeah, I did.
Gosh, I love that. I love the energy on this call. Can this be every day that we just do this? I know exactly. And I think that that's truly the power of, you go win and you go bring this back. But I really, without sounding passe or cliche, I really do feel like that the real honest win here is the power of you just doing this work and continuing to show up and continuing to be the best version of yourself. And however we can help support, I mean, this feels like I feel so much honor being able to be on this little postage stamp corner of your life and like being brought into this way. But I think that you're going to find that the more that you can tell your story and shares, the more that people are going to really, you're just going to light their worlds up. So Netflix, if you're listening, let's get a special going. I mean, like, come on, ESPN, I know you've done a lot of those, you've done some behind the scenes on those, but it's really incredible. So thank you so much for being here this evening. We'll share all of the links, and everyone have a really wonderful, there we go. This is it, right? Like, is it? I know, so good. Make sure that you have a really wonderful rest of your night, and best of luck.
Yay,
All
good
right.
luck, Amy.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Advocate. We appreciate
All
you, Wise.
Of course. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, you guys.
Mwah. Bye.